everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today's video is actually a video that I am kind of nervous to be filming. I don't know why, I just feel like I've been dealing with a lot of my mental health stuff offline and I've gone through so much, and I feel like this past year has just been such a change for me. Not to make like a joke or anything, but I really kind of do feel like 2018 was the year of realizing stuff for me.
I feel like this year is really about like the year of just realizing stuff.
The first thing I want to say is I was gonna do this video and kind of go into all the reasons and like what led up to all of my feelings about depression and anxiety, but then I thought, like, would it really do any good to share all of that stuff? Of course I can share with you. I'm gonna share some things that definitely contributed to my anxiety and depression, and I think my general unhappiness. So I don't know if I'm gonna do a whole video just talking about like, okay, this is everything that led up to it. I have been open about my struggles with mental health from the time I was a teenager, documenting my social anxiety, and then when I would have situational depression. This time was a little bit different though, because I feel like it just sort of bubbled up to 2018. I think that I really needed to go through everything to kind of deal and process things that I might not have processed. Just as like an example, not to get like too deep or anything, but one of the things that I think actually contributed to my depression was moving out. I lived in a house with my parents and my sister for my entire life. Tony and I are super, super close. I mean, right now our big dream is to like buy a big piece, well, I should say my dream is to just like buy a big piece of land, build 2 big houses, have like a joint backyard. Like Tony and I, no matter what anyone thinks or says, like we are sisters first and foremost. YouTube will always come second. Everything will always come second. I think that's just how we were raised. So even though at the time when I first moved out, it was like a really exciting time. I was on my own for the first time, my own apartment. Like I was really excited, like when I first moved out, and then it just kind of, I guess once reality set in, and at that time Mike wasn't living with me, so a lot of the nights like I would be alone. Every morning I would be alone. You know, my life is a little bit different because a lot of my friends are either still in school or they work every day. 2 of my best friends live in a different country or a different province, so it's kind of, you know, I guess I felt a little lonely. And looking back, I can look at like my habits and patterns and I can see how it negatively impacted me at the time, and I just wish I was like a little bit more self-aware. I realize now that I gained a lot of weight probably because I was I don't know, bored, lonely, depressed, sad, wanted to fill an emotional void with food. And so I would eat. And in the moment, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, I'm just, you know, eating a snack or whatever. Now looking back, I can see like I was probably like emotionally eating just because I felt really alone. It was a big change and it was hard on me because I feel like most people when they move out for the first time, it's like this happy, exciting experience. And at the time when I was moving out, it was kind of like a last minute sort of thing. Because I didn't want to move into the condo that my mom and Tony were moving into because we needed an office for CNC, and it was like very, very small. Would not recommend those condos that they lived at in Montreal. That was a nightmare. So I made the decision, and I was in a financial position where I could afford to move out independently, and that's what I did. And looking back, I don't think I ever thought like, oh, I'm lonely, but I can see how probably psychologically it might have been harder for me to deal with just because I was so used to always having my sister right across the hall and like my mom and my dad and all being like really close. There were so many probably things that contributed to my mental health, but one big thing for me, and I'm gonna be totally real and honest with you guys, was YouTube. YouTube and social media just gave me so much anxiety, and I had to really make some changes. I mean, this past summer, I really took a step back from YouTube. I wasn't uploading consistently. I really had to think about if I actually enjoyed it. I have been doing YouTube since I was 13 years old. I'm 23 now, so it's been 10 years, and when I started YouTube, I started it as a hobby. You know, I thank my lucky stars for YouTube every day, and I'm so thankful. I always say this to my friends. I'm like, you know, it's such like an oxymoron for me because I love YouTube and social media so much, but I hate what it's become in a way. Like I hate how people use it. And I have definitely become more conscious about my social media use. But back to YouTube. So I started YouTube as a hobby, no money, no nothing. Like I wasn't expecting anything. I was 13, probably bored, didn't really play sports. So YouTube became my hobby. And over the years, it started to evolve and become into more of a business. And you know, whenever that sort of stuff happens and things, money starts getting involved and there's like sponsorships and stuff like that, it becomes more and more businessy. And I think if you've been watching YouTube for a while, you've probably seen all the different ebbs and flows of how YouTube's like progressed. And I really feel like now people are in sort of a, we just want real people, real vibes, real stuff like that. And I had to really think about whether I actually enjoyed doing YouTube. If I was just doing it because I thought I needed to do it, or if I just was ready to walk away, because I'm very much someone who, if my heart is not in it, I can't do it. I can't do anything half-assed. Throughout the years on YouTube, I've had a few different managements and stuff like that, and I just don't think that I am fit for a management team. The issue for me, in my opinion, is managers are great if your priority is to get PR or to get like offers from companies. I guess my idea of a manager and what I am looking for in a manager is not so much like offers to hold up a lipstick in an Instagram post for $100. Posts really don't interest me. I'm no longer signed with a management company, but I remember one of my management companies would be like, the offer, okay, like $200 to pose with a lipstick on Instagram showing their new range or whatever. And for me, I'm like, I don't really post that much on Instagram. I don't feel natural like doing pictures like that. But that's not to say that I don't understand why people do it, and I 100% support it. Whenever I see anyone I follow, one of my friends, like they do a sponsored post, I always like the post. I don't enjoy the majority of the sponsorship opportunities. I prefer to work with companies like over time, like develop relationships. So like there's companies like HelloFresh that I actually am a customer of and I enjoy working with. For me personally, I just don't enjoy making a lot of sponsored content and I don't enjoy the process. But that, it really depends on the brand per se. So like, let's say, I don't know, like let's talk like ask, believe, receive. Like let's say Ulta came to me and said, we want to do a video with you. Oh my God, I wouldn't even have to think twice. You guys know how much I love Ulta. But unfortunately, when you are, you know, a management company, you're working with like a bunch of different people. It's not much like one-on-one stuff, and it's a lot of offers like, okay, like do an Instagram post, do this, do that. And it's like, I'd rather do more meaningful sponsorships for me instead of just doing a bunch of different random. So there's just so many different things that I just had to be okay with the fact that I am not gonna fit the mold of social media anymore. I am not gonna fit the mold of a typical social media influencer anymore, and I'm okay with that. When I started YouTube, I was just a random girl from Montreal. No one knew my last name. No one knew my full name. No one knew even where I lived. No one knew anything really about me. I was just sharing what I was interested in. And then over time, you know, numbers go up and things change, but I need to look at, in order to keep my own sanity, I need to look at YouTube how I looked at it when I was a kid. Now, does that mean I'm never gonna do a sponsored video or never gonna do that? No, but what it means to me is I'm only gonna do things when they feel absolutely right within me, when they don't give me anxiety, when I don't have to worry about like people nagging me or trying to pressure me into doing things. I'm gonna do things my way, and I've tried for years, and I think that's where I lost so much passion for YouTube. It's because I was like, everyone was always trying to fit me into a mold. Do this, do this, do this. Like if you want to have that, do that. And I just, you know what? I've always excelled when I've done things my own way, and I just had to come to that realization that I love YouTube. I watch more YouTube than TV, than movies. Not only am I a YouTuber, but I am a YouTube viewer, probably first and foremost. Whenever I make videos, I try to make them keeping in mind what I like and what I don't like when I'm watching videos. So like even with my jewelry company, I'm not gonna come on and say, okay guys, we're gonna talk about this, and then talk about my jewelry for 15 minutes, because I know that's not what you guys are interested in. I wear the jewelry, I love the jewelry. Like right now I'm wearing the Apella ring with a Sweetheart Eternity band, the Cali ring, I'm wearing a royal necklace. I don't feel the need. If you guys like anything, you guys know where to find it. And yeah, maybe I'll mention it, but I don't want to be like shoving things down your throat all the time. I love kind of being like an independent channel where I'm not just focused on getting sponsorship to pay my bills. I'm in a lucky position, and I'm not knocking influencers or people who need to do these sponsorships to survive, because I respect that. All I'm saying is, for me personally, I want to enjoy YouTube. I want to love YouTube the way I loved it when I was a kid, and I want to like interact with people the way I used to interact. For so long, like comments, messages, everything would give me anxiety. And so I really kind of had to take a step back, and I had to realize that the way that we consume social media is 100% up to us. I find people are so close-minded nowadays, because I don't know, when I was a kid, I would get a lot of news from like different places. I would go over to my grandma's and there'd be CNN on the TV, or I'd go over to a restaurant, there'd be the news, or we would talk about the news in school, or I would see things online, or see things like in the newspaper, because my parents would always get the Montreal Gazette, so I was always reading the newspaper as a kid. I feel like I had so many different ways to consume all this media, and so with social media, it has turned into like a constant stream of buy this, buy that, do this, do that. If you're not doing this, then you're shit. That's not how I want to live my life. Just think about it. So when you go onto your Instagram, you're probably following people who you are interested in, right? And there seems to be this idea that like if you follow someone, you can unfollow someone. It's a big faux pas, then they're gonna unfollow you. I'm past that, okay? I'm at the point now where if I unfollow you, I probably don't have any bad feelings towards you. I just probably feel like my feed is being clogged up, and I want to keep my Instagram to what I want to see. I want to be able to see the posts that I want to see versus just a ton of different sort of things like that. Go through stuff on my Instagram quite often. And another thing that I changed, which I think has done amazing things for my mental health, is in terms of stories on Instagram. I didn't start muting people for the longest time, and there would be people who I don't even really know that I would just, you know, like meme accounts, like pretty girls that I would follow, or just stuff like that, and they would post a lot of stories, but I didn't really know them or want to connect with them in that way. I just maybe liked their style or something. I mute so many people, and it saves me so much time, because I'm not sitting there going like this through everyone's stories. I'm seeing the people I want to see. I'm not getting inundated with a ton of different like ads or stuff like that. I feel generally more positive and like I'm using less time on social media. To me, okay, this is just how I view it. If I hated a TV show and I just couldn't get into it, imagine if you just, every time you turned on TV, you just went and watched that show. It would drive you crazy. So I feel if you're not feeling my content, if you're not feeling my Instagram, if you're not feeling my stories, unsubscribe. I'm not saying this in a like, unsubscribe if you don't like me. You know where the unsubscribe button is. I'm saying that like for me personally, my mental health has really benefited from taking charge of what I'm seeing and how much I'm seeing on a daily basis. Because another thing is, we're following people that we want to see on Instagram. We're generally following people who align with our beliefs. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bias in that. So I think that it's important to kind of broaden horizons. Maybe you start reading a newspaper or getting like world news or something, because if you think about it, our Instagrams are sort of like a little microcosms, like our own little microcosms in our phones of just the world that we want to see. And so you have to keep that in mind. I feel like I just got really deep. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. I think that social media is one of the best things that has ever happened, but like with most things, sometimes it can turn into not so good. And so I think that it's really important for people to take charge of what they consume and how they consume. And it does play a significant impact on our mental health. I mean, just look at the statistics and the rates of anxiety and depression among teens, among young adults. It's growing, and we would be idiots if we didn't think social media was the cause. So we just have to remember that we are in control of these devices. They do not control us. I'm not saying don't go on Instagram, don't do that. But what I am saying is, you know, filter. We filter things on Instagram, go through and don't be afraid to unfollow people. If you've noticed that I don't post a ton on Instagram, I don't post a ton on my stories, that's generally why. Not to say that I don't do things and don't have fun times and don't see my friends and don't go to cool places. I honestly try and use social media how I would have used it in like 2010 or 2012. Because when I was in high school, oh my God, thank God, Snapchat and Instagram and Twitter like blew up after I graduated high school. I am so thankful that I got to experience high school before all this technology and everything, because I literally cannot imagine. Basically, all that to say, I did a lot of reflecting. If you guys want to hear more about things that kind of contributed and what I've learned from them more, let me know, because maybe that could be a cool video. Now I'm going to answer some questions about my anxiety and depression experience, because I get questions about this all the time and I really wanted to wait to do a video to talk about it. The first thing I want to say is thank you all so much for being so respectful during this, you know, journey and process with me, because I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of really nervous. I would always tell Tony, I'm like, I get so much anxiety to read comments, I get so much anxiety about this. YouTube really wasn't a positive space for me for a while, and I'm so happy that I opened up about my mental health, because I feel like it made me feel less alone. Because when I say that like it was the darkest time of my life, I'm not exaggerating. There are points where I was like, I wasn't suicidal, but you know when you're at, well, I don't know if everyone's experienced this, but I was at the point where I'm like, if I just don't wake up one night, I'll feel okay. And that is not how you should feel. For a while, I was just in a little bit of denial. I remember seeing Tony and seeing my friends and seeing Mike and being like, oh my gosh, like they feel the same way I do every day, and they are just so strong mentally, and they're able to get up and do so much stuff and achieve so much. I thought that I was just being lazy and everyone felt the way I felt, and that I just wasn't strong enough to work through it. I remember talking to Tony one day and she was like, no, I don't feel that way. You really should go see a doctor. And she was always telling me, go see a doctor, go see a doctor. I think she was really worried about me. I thought that I was super lazy, and that's why I was, you know, having so much trouble getting my day started. I lost motivation to do things that I loved, like go to the movies or just even cook. I loved to cook, and I would cook every single night, and then there was a period where I was like barely cooking. So I just lost motivation. Honestly, I lost that joie de vivre. Like I lost any excitement. I wasn't excited for anything. Everything felt like a chore. Everything felt like a hassle. And when I wasn't depressed or feeling like, oh my God, I can't get going, it's like my body went into overdrive and I had terrible anxiety. I would wake up in the morning and feel like I couldn't catch a breath. And I saw a video on YouTube that had the best description of what anxiety feels like. And I think it was Mel Robbins maybe, and I'll try and link the video down below, or it's on my Instagram on my anxiety depression highlight. She was like, you know when you almost get sideswiped by a car, or you almost get in a car accident and you have that like that anxiety in your chest, but your brain can rationalize like why you're feeling that anxiety, and eventually it's, you know, subsides. That's how it felt for me waking up every morning. It felt like I couldn't breathe. It felt like I couldn't get a deep breath in. I had no appetite. I was so anxious. With depression, I, you know, kind of isolated myself, didn't really want to leave, didn't really want to go anywhere, didn't really see many of my friends, and that kind of also plays into the whole anxiety of it all, because now I'm like, I feel like I'm almost like, not like I'm in a 12-step program or whatever, but I definitely do need to not make amends with my friends, because I think my friends know what's going on, but I just want them to know that it wasn't them. It's not because I didn't like them or not interested in them or didn't care about them. It's like this weird place where I feel like I've been gone for so long, and I don't know, it's weird. That's like a big priority of mine, is to like reconnect with people. I'm getting there, and I'm definitely like giving myself challenges that I've taken from my first steps into therapy. Another thing that I want to say is, if you are struggling with depression or anxiety and maybe like, I don't know, isolating yourself, one of my favorite things to watch is the Queer Eye series on Netflix. Even though I may pull together decently most of the time, I feel like I do deal with a lot of the stuff that the guys that they make over on Queer Eye do, like emotionally. So sometimes if I'm feeling down, I'll like watch an episode. There was an episode in this new season where Karamo has this guy like build up a physical wall of stuff, and I feel like that's kind of what I've done, is like build up walls. So I got a lot of questions, and a lot of people are very curious about medication. Now I'm going to tell you guys what medication I am using, but definitely if you are considering medication, make sure you talk to your doctor, because medication medication affects everybody differently. Knock on wood, I have really not had terrible side effects with my medication, but the reason why, I've been really open about the fact that I went on medication, but the reason why I didn't come out and say, oh, I'm on this, is because I really wanted to give my body time to adjust before getting other people's like inputs, you know what I mean? Because I'm the type of person, like I'm the worst type of person. When I was in Punta Cana, I got a blister, and stupid me starts looking up like blister infections and how it can lead to sepsis, and so I was super paranoid that even when I got home, I was like, Mom, my toe is throbbing, it doesn't feel weird, my foot feels weird. So I just kind of decided to go the route, ignorance is bliss. I'm just gonna listen to my body, and I'm not gonna look at everybody else's experiences. I didn't want to get any outside input, and that I feel really helped me, because I wasn't like, oh, should I be feeling this? Or I guess there is a little bit of a twinge of a headache. I really just wanted to take it in and experience it and take notes of how I was feeling on it. So without further ado, let's talk about the medications. So I had actually talked to a friend of mine who was also going through a bout with anxiety and depression, and he told me that he had recently started on Prozac, and he had started on what he called a pediatric dose, so I guess like a pretty low dose. I was so stubborn about going to the doctor, because I feel like on social media, it is so ingrained in our mind that medication is bad. You shouldn't take medication. You shouldn't depend on pharmaceuticals. You should just rub carrots on your face and take ashwagandha and this and that. And you know what? Natural supplements are great for a wide range of things. I love natural supplements, but no amount of ashwagandha and maca 5-HTP was helping me, and nothing was getting me feeling normal again. And I was tired of feeling not like myself, and I was tired of feeling like, ugh, like just another day done, like just did it, like no zest for life, no passion. I had no creativity for CNC, no, like, it was not a good place for me to be. So I was so like against going to the doctor. And I remember I was over one day at the office with my mom and sister, and I forget what triggered me, but I was like, I just don't want to live. Like it was like the lowest of the lows. And my mom made me an appointment at the doctor, and I went and we did all the tests and everything, and it took me a long time to actually get to the doctor. My best friend's mom actually works for a pharmaceutical company, so I talked with her a lot about it, and I really went the longest that I could without going on medication. The reason why it's so important for me to be open about this with you guys is because I want you to know that taking medication for yourself and for your well-being is okay. Just because people on Instagram are using natural supplements or whatever doesn't mean that it's gonna work for you. You have to do what is best for your body and for your mind. And it doesn't mean, it's not a life sentence. You don't need to use these forever. I was prescribed 10 milligrams of Prozac, which is a pretty low dose. She said like we can do a higher dose, but I really wanted a low dose because I was scared. I was scared of not feeling like myself, and I really didn't want to change, I don't know, I didn't want to change who I was, if that makes any sense. I had heard so many horror stories from people that I really was nervous. So I was diagnosed with Prozac, and this is, I actually have some notes because I wanted to tell you guys about it. Prozac balances serotonin, and it can assist with alleviating anxiety and enhancing mood. It's a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, and it works by blocking the absorption of the neurotransmitter serotonin in the brain. Regulating the amount of serotonin helps brain cells transmit messages to each other, and this results in a better and more stable mood. So when I was first prescribed Prozac, I kind of did a little bit of Googling, but it started to freak me out, so I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna stay in my own lane. And that's something that I would really recommend to do. Get information from your doctor, like the risk from your doctor, but other than that, don't Google, because everyone's experience is different. And when I first was prescribed Prozac, I started taking it at like 5 p.m. every night because I wasn't sure how it would react in my stomach, and I at that time wasn't really on any sort of routine of having a breakfast of some sort. So I was like, you know what, I'll have it at 5 o'clock. But then I realized that it was sort of, I wasn't sleeping as easily or as well as I used to, and I realized that maybe this had something to do with it. So I switched the time that I took it from 5 p.m. to 10 a.m. and I've had no issues with it. Typically by that time I'm either having my bulletproof coffee or making it, so my stomach can seem to handle it really well. The only thing that I'll say about Prozac that could be a side effect is my appetite. Actually, my appetite hasn't gone more down than it was before. It just kind of stayed the same. I got a lot of questions from you guys about cannabis, weed, THC, CBD. Have I tried CBD? What do I think? As many of you guys know, I am not a drinker. If I were to call myself something, I would definitely lean the other way. I think it's really funny because a lot of people who are against marijuana or cannabis-derived products are people who have no problem drinking a bottle or two of wine or getting shit-faced. So we'll hold those judgments because I've never really been hungover or, you know, anything like that because of cannabis. I definitely do partake. I really like Charlotte's Web CBD. I love oils, vape pens, anything like that. Sometimes just the flower. The reason why I don't really talk about it much on my channel is just because I wouldn't talk about wine or an amaretto sour if I was drinking those, so I don't feel like it's necessary to be like, hey guys, like here's my grinder. In terms of appetite, that does help. So yeah, and CBD, it is nice. It is nice in the morning. You can add it to coffee. I have a chocolate mint one that tastes good just on the tongue. You can add it to salad dressings. You can really use CBD in a bunch of different ways. And what's great about CBD versus THC is the fact that there is no like psychoactive effects. And you know, why not? Let's talk about it. In terms of strains, I definitely prefer sativa. How do you feel when you're feeling anxious? What does anxiety feel like? Also, what triggers it? Just curious. So, social situations definitely do give me a little bit of anxiety. I am able to work through it though, more so in events when it comes to like, not appearances, because that's not it, but like let's say I have an event at Dr. Sino's or an event at a like somewhere where I'm going and people know that I'm going, it's easier for me to like almost turn it on in a sense. Myself, like who I am as a person, I am very shy and very introverted. If you see me walking in public, I probably don't look that approachable because I feel like I have a little bit of a resting bitch face, but it's just because I'm really nervous and really shy. In terms of like anxiety, sometimes I'll wake up and I'll just be like in my chest. I think the biggest thing in terms of like what anxiety feels like for me, it definitely manifests in my stomach. I feel like a little bit nauseous, no appetite. And then in terms of, I feel like I can't get a deep breath in. And that's normally what anxiety feels like for me. What your overall experience has been like, how long it took for you to fully adjust, stuff like that. So in terms of medication, I feel like I adjusted pretty quickly. I think that part of it might have been placebo effect, but maybe part of it was that my body was so like out of balance, but I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell you that. First day I took it around 5 p.m. and I woke up, and I remember that was the first day that I got up and I got ready and I filmed the video and I felt so good. The next day I felt a little bit, I had a little bit of a headache, but I'm not sure if it was related, but now I feel pretty normal. Was it a slow, gradual process of feeling back to yourself? I'd say it wasn't necessarily slow. I feel like another thing is once I started taking medication, it was almost like I was on a bit of a natural high because I was able to be validated by a doctor and know that it wasn't my fault, if that makes sense. So I feel like I was like, I'm not crazy, like happy. Yeah, it wasn't a huge adjustment, and the best way I can describe going on medication, and if you guys wear glasses, you might relate to this. I put them on and I can still remember I put them on and I was like, oh, Mommy, I can see, I can read, Walmart, oh my god, I can see the grass, everything. Like I saw detail like for the first time in so long, and that's how I would describe medication, because it's just like I don't feel like a different person. I just feel like I can see clearly again and more stable. That's just how I feel. I just feel like I am who I'm supposed to be when I'm on this medication. I feel like I'm stronger mentally, I'm more motivated, I'm more energetic, I am able to process things better, given me a lot of peace, I feel, and I don't feel like any fuzziness in my brain, knock on wood. I just feel really good. So what are your go-to tips that will help when you experience anxiety? Is the prescription medication helping you, or would you prefer a more holistic approach? Do you ever experience anxiety or depression so deeply that you question your purpose in life? If so, where do you go from there? Go-to tips that will help with when I experience anxiety. Luckily, I haven't been having too much like random bouts of anxiety. I have also been prescribed Ativan, and I don't even think I've had to have it refilled yet. I have taken Ativan in the past, but that's for when I'm feeling like really like, especially like right before my period, I might be a little bit more anxious or whatever. So I do have those, but a lot of times I find that getting up, cleaning something, organizing something, taking a luxury shower, just getting up and actually doing something and not just sitting there really helps. So a lot has gotten organized in my apartment recently. Did I ever experience anxiety or depression so deeply that you question your purpose in life? Yes, and I actually just talked about that with my therapist, because I'm like, what's the point? Like, what is the point of all this? I definitely do question the point of life a lot. What are your thoughts on using CBD? I've answered that. What do you do when your anxiety and depression starts to affect your relationships? I'm very lucky that the people closest to me were super empathetic throughout the entire thing. Looking back, like, I'm so thankful for my boyfriend, because I could not have been much fun to be around. He never once made me feel bad. Like, people always ask like, oh, like what about weight gain, stuff like that. Like, I don't know many people who can say that their partner has never once made them question their food, question their body, question anything. Like, I am so, so thankful. If there's one thing that I want you guys to take away from this video, and it's gonna be so cheesy, it does get better. And if you are on the fence of seeking help or going to a doctor or going to therapy or starting medication, don't wait as long as I did. Try the holistic approaches if you want. Try different approaches. If you feel like you've done a lot and you've tried and it's just something that's beyond you, I don't think that there's anything wrong with admitting you need help and going to get medication, because my only regret is not starting medication sooner. I feel like I just wasted some time being stubborn and not wanting to go to the doctor when I could have helped myself so much earlier. And now I'm motivated, like so motivated to expand CNC. Like, I just came up with the cutest gift with purchase idea that I'm so excited about. Finding new jewelry, finding different things like for our stores, coming up with ideas for Signé. Like, I didn't have any of that creativity or drive for the longest time. And it's so exciting and fulfilling, and just, I love feeling like myself again, and I want you guys to feel like the best possible versions of yourself too. So I know this video was kind of rambly. If you want me to do a follow-up video, please leave any questions or comments you have in the in the comment section down below. One last thing before I go, I just want to show you guys this really cute little pill case. Mine's a little dirty because it is white and has been in a bunch of my purses, and this is just a little pill container. It says chill pill. When I got my medication, I was like, what if I'm out and I forget to take it before I go? So I wanted a little pill case, but I didn't want anything big because a lot of my new bags have been smaller, so I wanted something little, and I just thought this was the cutest one. And they have it in pink too. Another thing, in terms of Instagram, I am not someone who will post a lot of stories every day, but lately what I have been enjoying is posting like quotes that I find motivating, and every single morning I post a daily affirmation on my Instagram, and a lot of people have been loving the account that it's from, and I just love the affirmations every day. It's so nice to start your day. And again, just in terms of like curating your feed to what makes you happy, I think is such a huge thing, because you're on your phone so much. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any other questions down below. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for the support and the respect you have shown me. You guys have reinvigorated my love for YouTube again. I'm excited and motivated, and I'm happy that I can do things my way and just be me again. Come along for the ride, because I don't know what's next. But I love you guys, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.